Hey everybody, this is the Marine. A question that I'm often asked is about the Ridgeline for the hammock. What are they? What are they for? How do I use them? And do I really need them? We're going to answer those questions in this video, and we're also going to look at the two different types and the three purposes for a structural Ridgeline to help you be a happy hanger. Now, Ridgelines are a nice option, but not necessary. I highly recommend them, especially if you're sleeping one night or multiple nights, and I believe it'll make your trip more enjoyable. Almost all my hammocks have a structural Ridgeline, and almost like everything with camping, it's personal preference. Now, there's two types of Ridgelines. The first one's a non-structural Ridgeline, and they're just strung up to support a bug net. They're made up of some type of lightweight cordage. In most cases, they are connected or tied off to two trees, and they do not change how the hammock sag. Now, the second, which is more popular today, is a structural Ridgeline, and its cordage is made up mostly of am steel, which have an average breaking strength of 1,600 pounds or 725 kilograms. The next one would be Dynaglide, which has an average strength of 1,000 pounds or 453 kilograms. And the last one is Latchet or Zing It, and that average strength is 580 pounds or 263 kilograms. Let alone do these cordage have great strength, but also very low stretch, if any. There's three purposes for a structural Ridgeline, and the first one is to help you set the amount of sag in your hammock to help you achieve a flat lie and to find that sweet spot. When you're pulling the hammock suspension tight, you're also pulling the Ridgeline tight. But since the Ridgeline holds a fixed length, the material or fabric of the hammock body is not affected. So when I pull the suspension to almost a 0-degree angle, the sag in the hammock does not change. There's two types of structural Ridgeline. There's a fixed Ridgeline and adjustable Ridgeline. The fixed Ridgeline is a set length that's attached to each end of the hammock, either by a knot or by a carabiner that you can take on and off, or what I like is a splice loop that's attached to each of the continuous loops on the end of the hammocks. To put on a structural Ridgeline with the splice loops on the end, put the structural Ridgeline loop into the continuous loop. Make sure that each end of the continuous loop is secure so they won't slip out of the hammock chambers. Put the other end of the continuous loop through the other loop, then tighten. Now, with the adjustable Ridgeline, there's basically three ways of making them. The first one is using knots, then using a ring, but my favorite is the Whoopie sling style. And the reason why I like the Whoopie sling style is because they're really easy to adjust. And you adjust it just as you would a Whoopie sling. Now, when you want to make the Ridgeline shorter, pinch the cordage where it comes into the other cordage, and you pull that loose end out, and that'll tighten it up, which will make it shorter. Now, when you want to make that Ridgeline longer, you pinch that knot where the cordage comes into the other cordage, you pull that loose end and pull it out, and that'll make the Ridgeline longer. Now, a good starting point for the length of a structural Ridgeline is 83% of the length of the hammock. For an example, if you have a hammock that's 11 feet, which is 132 inches, which is 335 centimeters, then the length of the structural Ridgeline should be at 110 inches, which is 279 centimeters. If you have a hammock that's 10 feet, which is 120 inches, which is 304 centimeters, then the length of the structural Ridgeline should be at 100 inches, which is 254 centimeters. So with the adjustable structural Ridgeline, you'll be able to lengthen it or shorten it to find the length that works best for you to give you that perfect sag in your hammock. Now, with this adjustable structural Ridgeline, I have it at 83% of this 11-foot hammock, which is 110 inches, 279 centimeters. And what I'll do now is I'll loosen it up a little bit. I'll get inside it and see how that is. I'll get out, I'll tighten it, and I'll keep going back and forth until I find that sweet spot. And when you find it, take a tape measure, measure it, and you'll always know that length of that structural Ridgeline, what works best for you. It's a good little tip. Now, the second purpose of a structural Ridgeline is to protect your hammock. When I come to camp, I'm not looking for 2 trees that give me the perfect hang at a 30-degree angle. I'm looking for 2 trees that give me a great and beautiful view, and most of the times those trees are farther apart than I'd like. Now with the structural ridgeline, now I'm able to hang in trees that are farther apart. I have a beautiful view, I have the perfect sag, but the problem is when you hang in trees that are farther apart, it put a lower angle on your suspension, and they'll put a lot of stress and pressure on the hammock. But having a structural ridgeline, it will absorb all that stress and pressure instead of being on the hammock. Now with that being said, I recommend that you use Amsteel. Amsteel is 3 times stronger than Latchet and Zing-It. And yes, it is a little heavier and it's thicker in diameter, but which is great when you go to change clothes, you have something to hang on to. And then wintertime when I camp, when I get up at nighttime to go to the bathroom, I have something to hang on to because the ground is really slippery and I don't want to eat it. Now another thing you can do with the structural ridgeline is to test the stress that's on the hammock, in this case the ridgeline. If you can bend it like this, this is the perfect amount of stress that you'd want on the hammock, in this case the ridgeline. But if you have Amsteel, you can put a lot more stress on that and it will hold it. So that's why I recommend using Amsteel. Now the last purpose of a structural ridgeline is to hold things up like a bug net. Now if you get a portable bug net, you have to have a structural ridgeline to hold the bug net off of you. It holds it right up over the hammock. And they're also nice to hang things on like a ridgeline organizer. These are great to store things like a water bottle, your phone, clothing, or glasses, or anything else you like to store at nighttime. So when I'm sleeping, I can reach in there and grab things if I need it during the nighttime. So these are really nice to have, and they're very lightweight. Now another piece of equipment that's great to hang on the ridgeline is these head flashlights. And what you do is you just put it through that loop and it hangs there perfectly. And you can use this light at nighttime if you're going to read or anything. And then when you need it during the middle of the night, you just flip it through there and put it on. And there's other little lights that you can hang. I got this from Dutchware Gear, and this is kind of nice. You can turn it around, spins around, and it just clips right on. It has a clip, so you can put these type of lights on there. Now another piece of gear that I always bring is my K-bar. I've had this for many years. I take it on all my trips, and I put a carabiner on the end of it so I can just clip that on and hang that. And I like to have that with me at nighttime right by my head. Now another thing that the structural ridgeline is great for is like today it's kind of wet, and if your socks are damp and wet, you can hang them up on the ridgeline. If you have a shirt that you want to air out, you just hang that right over there, and this is really nice to air things out like clothing. Now the last piece of equipment I like to share with you is this hang time hook. What it does is you hang it up on your ridgeline, it holds a phone so you can listen to music or watch backpacking with a hammock. Now to put this hang time hook on the structural ridgeline, there's a groove on top. You put the structural ridgeline in that groove, bring it around, and you can slide it up and down. Now to put the phone in, you just open up those jaws like that, put the phone in, and there's a ball joint with a screw cap on it, and all you do is you tighten it down, and that will hold the phone to the angle you would like. And you can move it around. Really lucked out. It was supposed to rain today and then it went down to 20%. A negative about this hang time hook is when you're out in the wilderness, you should be enjoying the great outdoors and viewing God's great creation instead of texting someone or calling someone at home. But it is great to have if there's an emergency, or letting your loved ones know at home that you're doing well and you're fine. There's negatives and plus with the cell phone, but I think we really abuse it. And it holds a phone up to 3.5 inches, 90 millimeters, with a variety of cases and protectors. Well, I hope this video has helped you decide if you want or need a structural ridgeline and how to use them. And if you have any questions or comments, please write them down below. I'd love to hear from you. This is the Marine. Thank you for watching, and God bless.